God bless you. Welcome to my marriage. We just did the church, Dr. Grace, so I got to get on point with our marriage session on tonight. So we're excited about our second session. We just had a great time, Dr. Grace, with our church members
Yes.
for our growth group session, and now we're going to talk with our married couples in our group. Marriage group singles are welcome, but Dr. Grace, we're excited about our session tonight.
Absolutely. So, welcome to My Marriage University, our marriage community. We welcome you. For those that are regulars and you're coming on now, we want you to do what we do every Monday evening: love, like, and share, blow up social media, let everyone know that you're on. We have a very lively discussion on this evening, one that you're going to learn from and benefit from. So, we want you to spread the word so that others, even singles, we say, My Marriage Live for married couples, but there are also singles that are either engaged, looking to be engaged, or just want to know about relationships. I've had several that have let us know that they just like to be a part of the conversation because they want to learn, because when they do decide to enter into a relationship, they want to have the information so that they can grow. So I see the love, the likes, and the shares. Keep
Y'all
it
start
going.
hitting shares. I had to reset it, but those of you that are coming on, please go ahead and share our page. You may have to refresh, but go ahead and share. And you mentioned something about singles, Dr. Grace. I just did a session, and for couples, and the pastor wanted me to come back and do something with the singles. And of course, we do a segment. I'm going to be writing a book for singles as well here shortly. But it is important that we understand the importance, Dr. Grace, that learning about marriage, you shouldn't wait till after you already got married.
Absolutely.
Even though most people do, but the more you can learn ahead of time, the better you will be once you get married.
Yes, absolutely. So our discussions that we do every Monday evening, they do give you enough tools and information. Again, there's a scripture that I love that says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge," and so we want to give you the knowledge. We want, and your walk is going to give you the experience, but you certainly need to have the information so that when situations present itself, you'll know what to do. So we're excited. We're excited. Last time we talked with you about having a vision, the importance of that. We, walked you through what it looks like, preparing your vision.
We looked at having a vision 10 years out,
Yes,
3 years out, 1 year out, and then
absolutely.
we even walked through how to get through that first year by looking at the 7 F's: friends and family and faith and function and fun and finances. Seven of them. I can never remember all
Yes,
seven.
yes.
But if you download our free vision book on mymarriageuniversity.com, it's available to you absolutely free. We walk couples through that entire segment, baby.
Yes, yes. So, again, so much that you can learn. And if this is your first time, we want to encourage you to log on to mymarriageuniversity.com. You have to visit the website. There's so much resources available to you, so many opportunities that you have to just make your marriage and or your relationships exciting. There things that you can be a part of. The 30-day makeover. That's still available to you. You can take that journey anytime. And if you've already gone through it, you know how much fun it is and how it really transforms your marriage. And, so you can do it again because, every time you go through that makeover, you just learn so much, and there's so much that we can learn and grow from in our relationships. Not only that, but there are videos out there, learning videos that you can download and learn from on conflict resolution. There's so much resources out there, so you've got to go visit mymarriageuniversity.com. untitled.com and be plugged in to the marriage community.
It is important, and we've done quite a bit, Dr. Grace, with our marriage website, all of our products, all of our books. We got a cruise coming up. You can take our cruise. I know that we had a deadline for our discount in the cabins that we had reserved, but my understanding is that we are in the process of getting a few more cabins. So if you are interested in going on the cruise, even though the deadline has passed, we would love for you to join us. First Lady, this cruise is going to be phenomenal.
It is. It is. We need to show that commercial, the last commercial that we have. I guarantee you, it will be one you will always remember. It's going to be one of the vacations of a lifetime. We said that about the Biltmore Estates, and
we had a ball.
It was sold out.
It was phenomenal.
Even after we had, expanded our room and expanded our room
we gotta
reservations.
have to get a second hotel.
Yes, we were completely sold out, and we had a ball. We had, a lot of couples came from all across the country. And so some of them, for me, it was just like taking a risk. I mean, they flew all the way, drove all the way here from Florida and different places. And they didn't know anyone. And so, that's taking a big risk. And then when they came, oh my goodness, they didn't want to leave. The last day when, everybody was getting ready to pack up and go to their rooms and get their stuff and leave.
Ebony Aiken says it was amazing.
It was amazing.
So, Ebony, I hope you're going on the cruise with us, darling. If not, I need you to go ahead on to our website. Because it's going to be a ball.
Yes.
And we're going to get a couple of more cabins, but I think we have a good number already, Dr. Grace.
Yes.
But our travel agent is going back to see if they can get a few more cabins.
Yes.
So if you're interested, I want you to go to our website, mymarriageuniversity.com. Register right away, and then they will, and then you'll get the information for the travel agency, and they can get you your cabin. And if you want to get an interior, an exterior, a balcony, or a suite, you can do all of that. But we need you to do that now. Do that now.
Yes, I tell you. So, there are pictures. In our gallery of some of the events. I tell you, the Biltmore Estate, we had so many great opportunities. I mean, when we had the dance, oh my gosh, it was just, it was a 60s.
70s.
Oh my God. I mean, that we had so many people with a fro. Of course, I had a blonde fro. And everything. I mean, they had the bell bottoms. We brought the 70s back.
Absolutely.
And that night, it was just hilarious, fun, and we just had a great time. So
we're going to have a great discussion about communications and conversations tonight. Before we get started, I need y'all to help us get your family and friends on. Tell people about the discussion tonight. We're going to show you and talk to you about how communications impacts your marriage, your finances, parenting, blended families, love, and sex life. Listen, I want you all to go ahead and hit those shares and likes. Dr. Grace and I want to have a great discussion. We want to get as many people on as possible. So if you know somebody that needs to hear this discussion, go grab your husband, go grab your wife, go tell your friends. You know somebody struggling in their marriage. Tell them to get on this talk tonight. It's going to be blessing. One of the main reasons, First Lady, people complain is communications.
Yes.
Anytime we meet with a couple that's struggling in their marriage, communications always comes up. It could be the sex life. It could be arguing, complaining. But ultimately, it goes back to communication.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's vital. It's one of the pillars of a strong foundation in a marriage. And so you can't have a good marriage, you can't have a great marriage, you can't have a successful marriage without one of the most important pillars, which is communication. The marriage will either rise or fall for the lack of or for the benefit of having communication. So it's a very important discussion.
A lot of things happen when there's poor communications, arguments, fights, misunderstandings. I believe that there are people who are not together, not because they shouldn't be together, Dr. Grace, but I believe they're not together simply because they had a miscommunications or poor communications or they stopped communicating so conversation and communications is vital in a marriage or a relationship, baby.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and get started.
We're going to give you all about one more second to help us get folks on. So if you know somebody that can benefit from this conversation, y'all hit those shares and likes. We want to have a great discussion on tonight, and I think you're absolutely positively going to be blessed as a result of it. Conversation or communications as we get into this. Well, before we get started, we got a few of you all on. Tell us, what do you think are the causes of communication problems? We want to kind of engage you all. Thank you all for joining and sharing. As you're coming on, I want to hear from you all. Tell me, Ebony and Jakara, who else we got on? Robert, Capricia. Capricia, God bless you. Tell me who else we got on here tonight. Two Ebonies, Tammy. Y'all tell me what are challenges, what creates problems in communications. And as we're getting started with this, I want to hear from you all. What types of things, and we don't have my phone, so hopefully we can get your comments here, Dr. Grace. Somebody said unmet expectations is a reason for poor communication. Somebody say, Charlene, welcome, darling. We got a poll out. We want to know from you all, what are the reasons for bad communications or poor communications or the lack of communications? Dr. Grace and I are going to be talking about conversations and communications tonight. So I want to hear from you all. Why do you think so many couples and marriages have problems with communications? Are you getting anything over there, Dr. Grace?
Yes, there's some comments, not about
all right.
communication.
Somebody say, are you on YouTube also? Nope, we're not on YouTube tonight. Unmet expectations. Y'all come on in. Tell us why couples struggle with their communications. We're going to have a great discussion, but I want to hear from you all. Some say so. Tammy says, what, baby?
Tammy says, don't know how to communicate.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason. If you don't know how to do it, it probably ain't going to work too good.
Right. Ebony says, unwilling to share feelings.
All right. Very good. Very good. If you all have any other comments on why communications is so tough, and because we want to really expand on that and explore that on tonight, thank you all for joining in. It's going to be a great discussion because the lack of it really will, Dr. Grace, impact your marriage.
Absolutely.
It will impact your finances, your parenting, as you get into these different stages. The lack of communications or poor communications, sometimes I'll be thinking one thing, you'll be thinking another, and all of a sudden one of us will get upset with the other one. And it's not because of what we did or did not do. It was our inability to communicate with each other very well.
Absolutely. Jakara says busyness of life and raising and caring for a family.
Life does get in the way.
Absolutely. Charlene said some people only hear what they want to hear instead of what's actually being said.
I believe, Dr. Grace, a lot of times we don't hear even that. We're just waiting for our chance to talk. We'll hear one buzzword and then we'll take off. Well, at least that's what I do. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, so don't want to be wrong is another response, and hurt from rejection.
This is very important, and thank you all for sharing. Welcome as you're coming in. I see Christopher and Daylon has come in. Welcome, guys. Thank you all for joining the discussion on tonight with Dr. Grace and I. We are glad to have you all with us. We want to have a great discussion. I think you all are going to be blessed by it. Some are embarrassed or ashamed. There's a lot of reasons why communication, but it will absolutely impact your marriage. It will absolutely, Dr. Grace, hurt your communications. It will mess up your sex life. It will do a lot of bad stuff, baby.
Absolutely. And so, again, communication key. It's key for all relationships, especially for a marital relationship. So tonight we're going to talk about conversation. Talking about and conversation basically is talking about the events of the day. It's talking about personal feelings. It's talking about the plans for the future, showing interest in your favorite topics of conversation, balancing conversation, using it to inform, investigate, and understand you, and giving you in undivided attention.
Baby, now here is when you talk about conversation and communications, conversation and communications are the same, but they're somewhat different. So
Absolutely.
we think of them the same way, but the inability to communicate impacts your ability to have a conversation. So I want you to give that definition of conversation, because many times we communicate we conflate conversation and communications, and because we are not communicating, we let it impact our conversation. So give a definition again of conversation. Then I want to talk about the impacts of communications, baby.
So, conversation is talking about events of the day,
Uh-huh.
personal feelings,
Yep.
the plans for the future, showing interest in your favorite topics of conversation, balancing conversation, using it to inform, investigate, and understand you, and giving you your undivided attention.
Now, that's powerful, Dr. Grace, because what you did not say is arguing, fighting, or resolving conflict.
Right.
Okay. But we do argue.
Absolutely.
What does that say?
Fighting.
Fighting
Yeah.
and resolving conflict.
Yeah.
But understand that that's in a whole different category from conversation.
Yes.
Couples need conversation.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they allow their inabilities or their distractions or their fights or their arguments to get in the way of having a conversation. So if me and my wife are arguing or fighting, and we're not resolving the conflict, guess what? That's communications.
Yes.
And because we can't communicate properly through conflict, we stop conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so they go hand in hand.
They go hand, well, one impacts the other.
Yeah.
But we need to learn how to not allow one to impact the other.
Yeah.
Because conversation is a basic need
Right.
of every marriage. Let me say this again. You need to tell your mate about your day, your personal feelings, your plans. You need to tell them about your interests, your topics. You need to balance conversation. You need to inform, investigate, understand, and give undivided attention.
Yeah.
But if you are in a heated argument or fight a lot, you stop talking, then you stop conversing.
Yeah.
And you need conversation
Right.
the way you need the way you need food,
Yeah.
the way you need vitamins.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things, even though we're not going to talk about that today, it's very important that couples learn how to separate conflict resolution from conversation, how to separate our disagreements and our fights from us having a conversation about life. And Dr. Grace, even with us, sometimes that's a struggle. We'll start a conversation and then it'll devolve into a conflict.
Yeah. Because again, it goes back to the definition of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of that is to inform, but a part of that is also to investigate, to get information.
To get information.
Right.
But sometimes what happens is an issue will come up
Yeah.
in the middle of a conversation and it'll create a conflict. And so now all of a sudden we move from conversation into conflict resolution.
Yeah.
But if we get upset and angry, then we can't do conflict resolution.
Right.
So then we stop the conversation.
Absolutely.
So now this is important that you all understand that and get that, because a lot of times we will go days without getting our conversation because we're struggling with our conflict.
Right.
We're struggling with our conflict resolution.
Yes.
That's another form of communications, but it's not conversation. So, Dr. Grace, we don't want conflict to get in the way, because what is our topic today? How it impacts your marriage, your finances, your parenting, your love, and your sex life. We don't want these things to impact. You're married to that person.
Right.
You got financial issues. You got parenting issues. Thank God our kids are grown, but there are a lot of people out there who are got blended families, and you got baby mamas and daddies and all this type of stuff, and kids who say you ain't my daddy, and parenting issues, love and sex life. All of that can become impacted if you don't understand and differentiate your conflict from your conversation. Conflict over here, conversation over here. Learn how to get in the habit of saying, we're not going to have conflict, we're going to converse. Try to keep those separate. So first, let's talk about conversation then. Not conflict resolution, but conversation.
So men tend to not to have a great need for conversation as women.
Which creates a problem. I don't know how true it is, but they say, they use this analogy that men use 2,000 words a day, a woman use 5,000 words a day. And so when they at work, the man will use up his 2,000 words. So by the time he get home, he all out, and she got 3,000 more to go. Okay, y'all ain't working with me. So she wants to talk, and he ain't got nothing to say. But, I don't know how true that particular analogy is, but there is something to be said, Dr. Grace, about the fact that women tend to have a greater need for conversation than men.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we, through conversation, form relationships. And we, through conversation as women, develop relationships. And we, as women, through conversation, advance our relationships, through that. So a lot of that is talking about things. I mean, sometimes, when I come to you, I'm giving you details.
Oh my God. I'd be like, can you just get to the point? Can you just, my wife wanted to break it down. She wanted to tell me the time of day it was, what the temperature was outside, what the other person was wearing. And I'll be like, get to the point, get to the point, get to the point. But that's a true thing, baby.
Absolutely.
It's a real thing.
And for a female, for someone that values communication or conversation, it's important. It's important not to leave out the details, because it helps me to form the feelings, the bond, the connection, the emotions that go with being heard, as well as being listened to.
And we got to go back and do another marriage session, and we're going to really dig into this at the next marriage session that we do. But you mentioned to be heard.
Yes.
To be heard. That's part of one of the actual conflict resolution points of being heard. But with that in mind, Dr. Grace, men tend to not have as great a need for conversation than women. So what do we do with that issue? What do we do with that issue that men don't have a great need for conversation, but women do? So now we're married. What do we do about that?
There has to be a meeting somewhere in the middle. And I love what Tammy says. Tammy says, my husband always tells me that I talk too much. Especially when he's trying to go to sleep. And probably because maybe Tammy didn't have an opportunity during the day to get out all of what she wanted to share with him. And so right before bedtime.
So, baby, you know what the answer is? The answer is, if you have more of a need for conversation than I do, then what that tells me is that I need to figure out how to give my wife what she needs, even though it's not my need. So let me. I want y'all to get this clear. Conversation is a two-way thing. Yes. You talk, I talk, you talk. I don't have a great need for it. You do.
Absolutely.
So therefore, if my mate has a greater need, ladies, it would be great if y'all had your husbands on this talk right now so we can hear what I'm about to say. If my mate has a need for something that I don't, but they need it, then it becomes my responsibility to give it to them, even though I don't personally need it. Grace, for example, And I always refer back to our children. When you're raising a child, your child has certain set of needs.
Absolutely.
You don't have those needs,
No.
but your baby does.
Yes.
So guess what you have to do?
Meet those needs.
You have to give it to them.
Right.
So I mean, you don't have a need for milk, as much milk. You don't have a need to be held. You don't have a need to be changed, but your baby does.
Yes.
So you have to do something, even though you don't need it, because your baby needs it.
Right.
Well, your husband is your baby. In this particular case, our wives' men are our babies. And so even though I don't personally have a big need for conversation, my wife does. So I guess I need to figure out how to become patient when you want to tell me the whole long story.
Yeah, I mean, how to listen and how not to jump in and say, but just let me get out everything, because if you butt
But
in,
it just takes so long.
you will miss the point, and then you will not
Well,
be
I'll be
able
thinking
to.
I already got the point.
No, I mean, and so again, the point of conversing is to be understood.
Uh-huh.
And so if you interrupt me
But
quarter
I
of the
think
way,
I already understand.
no, if you interrupt like just now, you
I think I understand.
you still have to listen to the person, though. I mean, because that's a part of the process. You can't cut the process, and I think the other person's gonna know that you've listened and you truly understand where they're coming from.
All right. Yes, don't jump in. My husband has a problem with that. We all do. So that's the whole point, Dr. Grace, of why we're doing this. We're trying to learn, we're trying to grow, we're trying to educate, we're trying to teach,
Right.
we're trying to even learn ourselves. And so our point is that because we don't have a great need for it as men, we have to learn how to do it because our wives do, baby.
And you know what? Sometimes your spouse is the greatest teacher. If someone is saying this is what I need, then I think a good follow-up question would be, well, how do you need for me to do that? And then the next response is going to be the highlight. Well, baby, I need for you to do it this way, or I need for you to just listen, and let me finish saying what I'm saying before you say what you say. And that will make me feel heard, and then, that's the answer right there.
All right. So the next point is, so hopefully you all got that. So let's move on. The next point is, by removing intimate conversation from their daily lives, the husband removes one of the most important sources of love units into his love bank. When we talk about meeting other needs, we talk about making deposits. And because as men, we perhaps don't talk as often or as frequent or as much as we should. One of the things that we're also not doing is making deposits of intimate conversation. I don't need to talk. So if I don't need to talk, I'm not talking much. And then I'm also not giving intimate conversation, which, by the way, when we were dating, we probably did do that.
Oh, yeah.
And remember, intimacy and intimate conversation, baby, is not about sex. Intimate conversation is not about erotic. Intimate conversation is about sharing intimate knowledge. It's about sharing something that's going on in you with another person and them sharing that back to you. And, because we talked about in our book, Marriage, Sex in the Bedroom, that intimacy is not sex. Sex is an expression of intimacy. Intimacy is sharing knowledge.
Right.
By not talking, we're not being intimate.
Absolutely. And I think that's the reason why one author wrote a book on pillow talk. Because it's during that time, and that's an intimate time for a man. He wants to do something else. I mean, whatever, is his need at that time. But for a woman, a part of affection is, putting her head on the pillow and just talking, just getting out what's in her head, or what's in her heart that she wants to share.
And again, that's not erotic. That's not eroticism. That's not, baby, you do this, all of that kind of stuff for me, all of that. You just said it. You said it is sharing intimate knowledge.
Yes.
Sharing knowledge about your day. That's intimacy. That's what drives couples together, and we tend to stop doing that. So that's very good.
Intimate conversation should continue on a daily basis. And
We
we talked
should
about that.
make a point that we share all the time. We
Yeah.
should make a point to talk about something that's going on in your life, in my life, in our lives. We should have an intimate conversation with each other. Very good.
I remember while we were doing a couple session, one couple said that what they did just to kind of help with that, because that was a problem in their marriage. What they did was when they got home, before they did anything, they took that first 15 minutes and just sat down and talked about their day.
Okay.
And then once they did that, then the wife went to getting the kids ready for bed and doing homework and all that kind of stuff. And so that 15 minutes once they got home was a critical time for them.
Very important. Very good tool to just say, when we get home, we're going to take 10 or 15 minutes to just talk. Not argue, because remember, that's conflict resolution. Not complain, that's conflict resolution. Not get frustrated with each other, that's conflict. Conflict is another type of conversation, is another type of communications, but we're talking about conversation. And if you conflate your conflict with your conversation, it's going to mess up your sex life. It's going to mess up your love life. It's going to mess up a whole bunch of things in your marital life. And so we want to get in the habit of having conversation regardless of any conflicts that we may have going on at any given time. What else, baby?
Right. So conversation meets a basic emotional need for most women. We talked about that.
Yep.
Enemies of intimate conversation.
So let's talk about what makes what gets in our way. So if my conversation is getting impacted, then my love life is being impacted. My finances, a lot of stuff is being impacted. Our ability to parent, our ability to work together, to grow intimate together. Everything's getting impacted. And some of those enemies that we have, First Lady.
Making demands.
So soon as we make a demand, then the conversation stops. Now all of a sudden we start entering to another type of communications.
Absolutely. Being disrespectful.
Now that's big for me, and Dr. Grace will tell you, but it should be. It's probably for most men. Most
And
men
women.
do not, but men have more, just like women have more need for conversation than men. I believe that men have more need for, what's that thing called? Admiration. And when you're disrespectful, then it feels like you're not being admired. And I'm not saying that, see, we all can say we need all of these things,
Right.
but one sex tends to have a bigger need for something than the other. And so what could happen is that if my wife doesn't feel like I'm giving her enough conversation, then I will feel like she's being disrespectful to me. And so since that's a big need for me, then that drives me a little bonkers. And so, but being disrespectful will cut the conversation. All right?
Yeah. Expressing anger. That definitely is something that can get in the way of intimate conversation, because there's some people that are by nature just on edge. And it could be for anything. It could be from childhood. It could be the way they were raised. It could be they just don't have tolerance for something or whatever. Chemical imbalance.
Grace trying to get him crazy. Lord have mercy.
It could be a number of things.
But just
whatever
under
it is.
normal circumstances,
Yeah.
we do get angry.
Yeah.
You do something to make me angry. I do something to make you angry.
Absolutely.
When we express it, it messes up the conversation.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the point is, just like in conflict resolution, when a person gets angry, we should not try to resolve conflict under anger. And I guess if to have conversation, one of the things that we shouldn't do is we should not bring anger into our conversation as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. The next is dwelling on mistakes of the past or present.
And that's a challenge for me because it's hard. One thing that I will say in being honest here, I'm not God. God says he throws our sins in the sea of forgetfulness. Y'all, we are like elephants. We remember everything. And so, especially if you feel like, if you go back to the other ones, expression of anger or being disrespected or making demands, if that stuff hasn't been resolved, then, and even if a person made a mistake, we tend to dwell on it and we bring it back up again. And so when we do that, again, baby, it's going to interfere with our conversation.
Absolutely.
So now we're not having good conversation, which is a basic need. We're shutting down. It's impacting our love life. It's impacting our sex life. It's impacting our ability to deal with our finances and our children and our parenting because, number one, somebody's making demands. Somebody's being disrespectful. Somebody's always expressing their anger. And somebody's always dwelling on mistakes past or present. So these things, they do happen, but the point is, it's going to be an enemy to your ability to have good conversation. Not that they don't happen. The Bible says be angry, but sin not. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. So we have to learn, Dr. Grace, how to deal with these things, but not let them become so dominant in our marriage that they begin to impact our ability to converse with each other.
Right, right. And just like we have things that are considered enemies to having a great conversation, there's some things that we can do that will be considered our friend in intimate conversation. So one of those would be conversing to inform, to investigate, and to understand.
And so even when you've been angry, even when you've been mad, even when you had a bad day and you got a conflict you haven't been resolved, don't stop informing. Like, First Lady, we could have had a fight, but then something positive happens in your life. Now, because you're angry at me, you don't tell me about that.
Right.
But we have to push through that, and you just have to find a way to say, hey, baby, like today, you had this interview. Now, you could have did the interview. You could have never told me nothing about it. You could have just did your own business. Why? Because me and you having a fight. But that wouldn't have been good, right? Because one of the positive things about conversation is informing. It is to understand and to investigate. And in here, investigate is not a negative thing here. Investigate here is about learning. Well, tell me more about that. Tell me what's going on. Like when you told me today, for example, about the radio thing and how they responded and they called you back and they wanted you to do this and that. What did I do? I investigated. Mm-hmm. That wasn't negative. I just wanted to know what's the bottom line. What are they trying to say? What do they want to do? And so I was investigating, but that's because I didn't know all the information. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to interrogate, but we do want to investigate.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then some other things are developing an interest in each other's favorite topics of conversation.
So that's good. So baby, what's your favorite topic of conversation?
Well,
getting a house, that's one.
Yeah.
What else? What's your favorite topic of conversation?
Well, that would be one. Another one would be just vacation.
But we do vacations.
No. I'm talking about just investigating places to go.
Okay.
And things to do that are relaxing, that are things that we could do on vacation. Other things, anything that involves family, growing and developing and spending time and connecting, that is something else.
Okay.
Well, you tell me, because you know what I talk about most of
the time. You just said it.
Yeah. Anything
but
else?
I'm asking you, because I want you to ask me what my favorite topics are.
So what are your favorite topics?
That's a good question. I would probably say ministry.
Yep.
Because that's my calling, and I'm in the middle of making a whole lot of changes, so that's very important to me. The marriage business, trying to be a blessing to others and that type of thing. I think that's about it. You can't think of anything else?
That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
But that's my interest.
Work and your vocation. And
well, one of the things that we talk about in conversation is learn to get in other people's worlds. So you learn how to get in mine, I learn how to get in yours. The good thing about it is we both live in the same world. So that's what a lot of times couples don't have that. The husband's off doing his thing, wife off doing their thing. At least most of the things that I do, you do with me. So it should engender, I don't know if I'm saying that word right, good conversation. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. And another point, if you and your spouse engage in the same world because that's what you do, then you're probably going to have to create a world, that
If you live in separate worlds.
yeah, where you all can come together. If you live in separate worlds, but on the flip side of that, if you're spending a lot of time in the same space, then you might want to create opportunities for you to go to other places as well. So say for instance, your things that you like to do is the two things that you mentioned, but yet that's not what is going to ultimately fulfill you. But as a result of us conversating, we can create opportunities for the other person to really, enjoy that.
All
So,
right.
like for you, you've always wanted to go do what do you call that? The
I have
sky.
no idea.
You know,
Skydiving? No.
no. Parasailing. Is it
Parasailing, yeah.
Parasailing, right? And
Oh
I've
no,
never
baby.
ever
It ain't
done
just parasailing. It's everything, y'all.
No.
She don't want to do roller coasters. She don't
Well, I
want
used
do.
to.
She don't want to do roller coasters. She don't want to do parasailing. I remember we had paid. Now y'all listen to me. PAID. We paid to do jet skiing. They take you through a little class. They put on the life vest. They watch a video. We getting ready to get on the jet ski. It was me and all my family. It was me, Anthony, Crystal, and Grace. We were doing the cruise together. We paid for everything. Grace is ready to go on the jet ski. And
And I've never done. I was nervous
the
about it.
man made one joke. He said, "Watch out for the sharks." Grace took that thing off so fast. Y'all ain't listening to me. He was joking. He said, "Watch out for the sharks." He was just, and it was a big laugh. It wasn't a laugh for Grace. She ain't been on the jet ski since. As a matter of fact, she don't ski, she don't jet, she don't do nothing. She don't even look at the water. And I had to go with my daughter because Grace refused. I said, "Baby, he's just joking." That was at least 10 years ago, y'all. 10 years ago. She still ain't been on the jet ski. I bet you if I put a jet ski in a pool, she still wouldn't go in it. If I put a jet ski in a bathtub, she wouldn't go in it. So I know. So it don't matter, baby, because
I don't
she
do
won't.
sharks.
So we like to go to different places, but she don't want to do anything adventurous. I'm telling y'all, we go to Disney World, we just look at the rides. I be looking at her. I would look at people. Woo! I would go on them. I would literally go on the rides at Disney World. But all we do is walk around like two old folks and go to the Disney shows. Watch what's the go watch Mickey Mouse. Yeah. Hey, hi, I'm Mickey. Hi, I'm Minnie. That's all we do because I just look at the rides and I was like, boy, that looks fun. But she won't go on them. She literally won't go on the rides. And so she don't enter into my world. I'm just trying to tell you. We go on all kind of vacations, but we don't do nothing adventurous. No parasailing.
And if we go
no parasailing. We went to the Grand Canyon. I don't know how she did that because we had to get in a helicopter to go into the Grand Canyon.
That was fun.
We only did it once though.
Yeah.
And
what you did was because you knew I was afraid of heights. You talked with me. As a matter of fact,
I talked to you about the jet ski. You still didn't
put
get on
your
that.
arm around me.
I talked to you about the parasailing.
I was about to try.
I had to do the parasailing by myself. I had to do the jet ski by myself.
I had to make sure you went up and came down. And I saw you went up and you came down and you said it was fun. I would have tried it. Then.
Nah, she's saying that now. But we're getting ready to go on another cruise in August. And I'm going to get me an excursion to go parasailing. And I will report back to y'all after our cruise to see if Dr. Grace went jet skiing and parasailing. I'm signing up for both of them. So we're going to get this straight right here and right now. Y'all heard it. She said she would go on it. So I'm going to talk to her about it. All right, baby. What else we got?
Well, okay. Balancing the conversation.
All right.
And then
So you don't
also,
want somebody dominating.
right, right. And then giving each other undivided attention.
And so now that's interesting because now me, I like to look right at Grace's eyes. Grace, she looks away. And I'm not for sure why. But when we are in our conversations, I'll be looking right at her and she'll just look away. She'll look at me for 5 seconds, she'll look away. And I'm not for sure exactly what that's about. But you don't like looking at me in the eyeballs. I'm talking about when we having our conversations. She just always look
when
away.
it gets heated, no, I don't
Well,
like
it ain't
it.
always heated, baby. You just don't like looking at my eyes. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe I look funny to her. Maybe she said, "I can't believe I married this Negro. I can't believe." I don't know what she be thinking.
He's
but
exaggerating
She
right
don't
now,
like to
y'all.
look at me in my eyeballs. I'm telling y'all.
You're
I'm
exaggerating.
speaking the truth. I'm speaking the truth. You ain't seen no lightning come down, have you? So you know I'm telling the truth. You ain't seen nail lightning ball. You ain't seen nail lightning bolt come down. So you know I'm telling the truth. I'm a pastor. Praise Jesus. But undivided attention. So tell me about what does undivided attention mean to you, baby? Let me tell you what undivided attention mean to her. Undivided attention mean to her was, I'm listening.
No.
I hear you. That's what undivided attention mean to you.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so tell me what undivided attention means.
Undivided attention is when you sit directly across from the other person and you listen.
Keep going.
With-
And you listen and you
With
look.
You listen.
She don't look, y'all.
With the intention to understand.
But you also look. I guarantee you. You look
Yeah.
up, Google, everybody that's watching, Google undivided attention and see don't eyeballs play a part unless you just happen to be blind. My wife ain't blind. Okay, stop. She tried to go to another topic. No, we ain't going nowhere, baby.
I don't know where we are.
We were on undivided attention. What happened to it?
It's right here.
Okay. Where's that at?
Right here.
Oh, we almost at the end.
We are.
Undivided attention. So the last point, Dr. Grace.
Is when a husband meets his wife's need for conversation, they come to understand each other more clearly and learn what it takes to meet each other's needs.
So we gave you all a whole list of things. We need you to separate your conflict from your conversation.
Yep.
Don't let your conflict impair your conversation. Do conversation frequently. I love the analogy that you gave me about the couple who says when they get home, they go through each other's day, and they go through. Tell me about your day. I tell you about my day. Me and my wife are together most of the time, so I guess we have to figure something else out because we don't have to tell each other about our day because we're in the same day.
Yeah, we can.
For the most part.
Yeah.
But we do need to come up with something, though, is the point.
Right.
So that we take a time. You know what it comes down to, baby? Being intentional. Because we always talk about that. You have to make marriage, you have to make love, you have to make these things intentional. You have to make sex intentional. You have to make whatever your mates need intentional. And communications, conversations, conflict resolution, all these things must not be haphazard. They must be intentional. So we must commit that, okay, are we doing conflict resolution? Or are we doing conversation? Let's not blend them together because if you try it, you're going to stop both. You're going to impair both. So I love all of these points, Dr. Grace, and I encourage you all to do the same. It's very important. Dr. Grace, you want to share anything before we close tonight?
No, I just, again, even after you've watched this, go back and watch it again because there's always something that, you can take away. There's a good takeaway, for it. And so, again, today we're talking about communicating versus conversation and how it impacts our marriage, how it impacts our finances, our parenting, sex, and even our love life. And those are all critical components to having a successful marriage. And so we want us to learn how to communicate, but also conversate.
Make it a point. Make it a date. Do it daily. Let's pray. Let's close. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you, Lord, for every couple that have joined, every individual, every person that came on tonight to hear our discussion. We ask, Lord, that they take some nugget out of this, something that blesses them, Lord, in the name of Jesus. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Thank God. Amen. God bless you all. Dr. Grace and I thank you all for joining us. Y'all get the word out. Share, like, and love. Share, love, and like. Let people know about us. We're going to be on each Monday. Thank you all very much. God bless you.